Our hotel was on the way. It's in Watson. Comfort Inn on Airport Boulevard. Yes, for her. Also now. Drive to the Benares Ranch.
No. What do you guys are going to have a lunch in the morning?
Until tonight.
Did you try to see Cliff
It's good to see you.
3:45 or 4:45, as you prefer. Until then, we'd like you to mingle and nibble. And when we tell you the program will begin, come either sit here or turn your chair around if you want to stay at the table. And there will be an opportunity at the very end for an open mic for people who want to say things. But I will say now and probably again, we'd like to keep things down to 2 or 3 minutes because otherwise we'll be here all night. And I'm so happy to see all of you. Well, and that's all for now. I'm going to need the handkerchief, I can see it. Stuart, well, I have to read this because I just can't, I'm too scattered. You guys, there are too many of you, and it's wonderful that you're here. And I can't thank you enough for coming to help us celebrate Stuart's life. He was a wonderful, kind, giving person, and funny. Well, you know, the death of a loved one brings to the surface many questions, like, how is it possible he can't be on this planet anymore? How could I honor it sufficiently? And so many unanswerable questions, like, is there life after death? What happens? Do our spirits continue, and how, and in what form? Is there a God? questions without answers, or at least none that anyone can prove. We each choose our own answers to questions like this. Stuart's response is the foundation upon which the celebration is based. He told me, "I'm not sure about the concept of spirit. The only thing I know for sure is that we live on in the memory of those who knew us." Stuart was a modest man. He did not realize how many people cared for him, that he touched. And in my mind, any time we think of him, any of us who knew and loved him, a spark of his spirit ignites. The heart of this program is comprised of extracts from Stuart's interview for the Temple Bethel Oral History Project and a variety of Stuart's performances over the years. In them, Stuart's memory lives on.
Remember me. Remember me. To the living, I am gone. To the sorrowful, I will never return. To the angry, oh, I was cheated. But to the happy, I am at peace. And to the faithful, I have never left. Well, you can't see me, but you can hear me. So as you look out on a beautiful shore, gaze out at the sea, remember me. As you look in awe at a mighty forest and its grand majesty, remember me. And as you look upon a flower, just admire its simplicity, remember me. Remember me in your hearts, in your thoughts, your memories, the times we loved, the times we cried, the times we fought, and the times that we laughed. For if you always think of me, I will never be gone.
I was born and raised in New York City. I was born in the Washington Heights section of Manhattan. And I think that we were meant to get together because the hospital I was born in was Wadsworth Hospital.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. And what was your Jewish upbringing like?
Well, aside from my circumcision, you mean? I actually have my certificate. And it wasn't much. I did go to Hebrew school to prepare for my bar mitzvah, but that was it.
Did you bar mitzvah?
I did.
And then
I have a certificate to prove it too. So. But I was never very religious. My family was fairly secular. They would take off on the Jewish holidays, but that was about the extent of it. And we would go to Passover Seder at an aunt's house. And I went to a Jewish camp for 4 summers. But it all didn't register, so I would have to say I'm an agnostic.
When did you leave your hometown?
I left in 1960. I lived in Manhattan, and we moved actually to the Bronx to a large thing called Parkchester. It's like Park Merced, except much larger. I mean, they had their own Macy's and supermarkets, and it was a huge, about 50,000 people lived there. And so I grew up there. I left there when I was about 22 after I graduated college. And then I moved down to the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and I lived there for about another 4 years before I came out to California.
I am Stuart's younger sister, despite hard as it may be for you to believe. I was once a skinny little girl Stuart's younger sister by 10 years. I was the brat. And Stuart was always my big brother. And the whole time I was growing up, I looked up to him. Physically, of course, but more importantly, in the ways of the world. Even though the 10 years between us gave us very little to base companionship on, I always knew that he had my back, that he completed our little family dynamic, keeping us safe and secure. I remember wanting to be just like him, to have close friends, to be a rebel, to like jazz, to try out and become the lead in my 6th grade play. But most of all, especially when I went to high school and college, to protest the war, to study sociology, to challenge the status quo, and to hang with the hippies. Of course, life intervenes, and one develops one's own rules, lifestyles, and friendships. But I am still grateful that he showed me that I can be an independent thinker, not do something because everyone else was doing it, and to find my own muse to make me happy. Stuart, I think of you every day, and I'm grateful to you for your kindness, humility, encouragement, and humor. I miss you terribly, and will always hold you close to my heart.
Stuart's best friends in those days remained his dearest friends.
The three of them were called the Three Musketeers. Some of you haven't heard that before. From Lowell, this was June 15th of last year. A short chronology of love. Stuart was my classmate, my pal, and friend when we were both 9 years old in public school. He was my schoolmate, my pal, and friend in junior high school. He was my college pal and friend at CCNY. Throughout our early adult life, we were always there for one another. We were pals. The years passed by, we both married, had children, and continued to share our special friendship. Our hair got gray, and we both recovered from illness, operations, and assorted ailments over the span of many decades. We were separated by geography, but never out of touch. We visited each other, and we often spoke on the telephone. Stuart and I never had an argument and never could get mad at one another. Our friendship began with roller skates and bicycles, and it never slowed down. Stuart, I miss you, but you will always be my pal, Lowell.
This is from Stuart's friend Leon. Dear Stu, I greatly admire your discipline. When my time comes, I'll remember your patience and peaceful conversation. You are bearing up in this slow ending, still speaking and engaging with people. Do I possess such patience and dignity? I've been thinking of you a lot. I hope you are not feeling sick and that people are stopping by. I hope you are not too despondent. At least you are not going out in pain. You have had a full life with good friends and family. I'm trying to fill my life more than I have to date. Even though all are my dearest friends, I love you both, Leon.
Wow. And then Stuart's reply. Good to hear from you. I seem to be getting closer to the end. It has been expected for quite a while. It is something I accept. I feel the same way about you and Lowell. Though you live far away, I definitely feel that you and Lowell are my closest friends. Love, Stuart. And they were able to visit him in those last few months, which was a wonderful thing. Eventually, Stuart left his life in New York and traveled west.
Fabulous. And you, Stuart, how
me.
did you get here?
Well, mine was a bit more roundabout. This fellow I was a friend since elementary school with. We were housemates in Manhattan, and then he moved to San Francisco first, and he was writing these great letters about how much he loved it here and all. I was at the time working for the Department of Welfare in New York, and I was going to studying acting in school and also film production and a lot of different things. But I sort of wanted to get away. My family had already moved, incidentally, from New York. They moved up to New Bedford, Massachusetts in my last year of college. So I was on my own from 1956 on. And anyway, I took this job at a summer camp, a boys' summer camp, as the theater director there. And I met this Englishman there, and he was planning to drive across the country. I was going to fly originally. And so I went with him, and we traveled all the way down through the South, Florida, Houston, New Orleans, Mexico. Anyway, ended up broke in Mexico. Had a friend also from New York who had moved to LA. I called him, and he sent us money to get out of Mexico. And we landed in Los Angeles, and I was there for about 4 months, and then finally raised enough money to move up to San Francisco.
Wow.
So that was 1961 that I came to San Francisco.
And Stuart, I know
Yes.
you have a family. Tell me about your
I
children.
do, but actually my marriage has started later. I was in San Francisco, and I was with this theater company, and I met my wife there, and we moved to Marin, to Mill Valley, and my daughter was born in 1968. Her name is Anastasia, and she has a daughter, Estelle.
Hearing is always insane, and it's a common emotion sitting while here. So I'm just gonna read off what I wrote. First thing that I remember about my dad was his long dark hair down to his shoulders, and his dark beard and the mustache, and the round John Lennon glasses. He was called a hippie then, but I was just a kid. I didn't know what hippie was, so it was just my dad. Yeah, he shaved it all off, and he had the white hair and short. I remember it took me a long time to recognize him as my father. But he loved to listen to music, and whenever I hear Stevie Wonder, Paul Simon, or Carole King, I always think of my dad. And when he lived on the East Coast, I would spend my summers there. And for a while, he had this old green van. And I always remember the way it smells. It just so happens that I have an old truck now that smells just like that green van. And you think he's responsible for my love of old vehicles, old trucks.
Oh, wow.
Older gaylords in Mill Valley. Yeah, that was one of our favorite spots. And in Santa Cruz, yeah, we went to the polar bear. He moved back to the West Coast, and we'd spend the night at his house. And I remember having to wait patiently for Walter Cronkite to say, "And that's the way it is." And then he made me my favorite dinner, spaghetti with red sauce. It's probably the first meal I ever learned to cook. And then for dessert, we have frozen Three Musketeers, the little mini size. And he liked to eat those during his favorite show, The White Shadow. A little basketball reference there. And I preferred the Love Boat. He didn't even care for that so much. He loved to walk, to go for a tea. He took me on lots of beautiful hikes around the Bay Area. Let's see. Oh yeah, Blacky's Pasture in Tiburon was one of our favorites, and then we take the ferry to Angel Island, and he'd take me to China Camp, and let's see. Oh yeah, and through Golden Gate Park, and I do enjoy walking now, and that's because of him. And through the years, I have met many of my dad's girlfriends. We're not to say that he really wasn't truly happy until he met Rita, and I was so happy for both of them when they met. And they would travel together, and they loved to share their stories, and they really just seemed to complete each other. And coming to Santa Cruz was always just a wonderful adventure, whether it would be a murder mystery or a play that we were either watching together or I was watching him and you perform. And I'll always treasure what he taught me, and I miss him very much. And okay.
So I will always remember my grandpa as a man of wit, style, and class. We used to go to the boardwalk a lot. Him and Rita and my mom and me, and there were many times where he was the only one willing to go on rides with me. So it was really cool for that. And we used to see a lot of plays together, and I really appreciate him, exposing me to that and sharing his love of theater with me, and you too. And there was one thing that really connected us growing up, and it's something that we both just totally have in common, and that's his willingness to always get dessert after a meal.
So, my father led quite an adventurous life, both before and after we were born.
And Stuart, how did you get
Well,
to Santa
mine
Cruz?
was really, I had a couple of lives before I moved down here in the San Francisco Bay Area,
Well,
actually.
tell me about it.
And Philadelphia. So there was, okay, so I got a job with the Department of Social Services in San Francisco, and I worked there almost 10 years, I guess. And I also helped organize a union there, became the first president, was involved in that, and then began, also at the same time, was doing a lot of theater in San Francisco and Marin County. And in 1971, I had separated from my wife in 1970, and in 71, I decided to go to graduate school. So I was accepted by the University of Pennsylvania, and I moved to Philadelphia. And I lived in Philadelphia for the next 5 years because I went to graduate school there, and then I got a job where I had my internship in a day hospital program, which was very exciting at that time. And then I was missing my daughter, so I moved back to Marin, and didn't work for about another year. Then worked in a drug rehab program, then worked for Ross Hospital, which was a psychiatric and alcohol rehab program. And what happened was a couple of things. I met a woman who I had known from when my wife and I first moved to Mill Valley, and we helped organize a theater company there, which was at that time Mill Valley Center for the Performing Arts, and then later became the Marin Theater Company. And we we became good friends, and we at times lovers. And so when I moved back to Marin, I moved back with another woman that I met in Philadelphia. Actually, it's kind of funny because I moved to Philadelphia with someone named Susan, and I moved from Philadelphia with another Susan. So Susan too and I moved back to Marin. And anyway, we broke up after a few years, and Maxine, which was the woman that I was talking about, was then going to UCSC. She was in the doctoral program in sociology. And we met again and got involved. And it so happened that I was getting my hours at Ross Hospital were being cut quite a bit. So I was only ending up working about half the week. And I happened to be down in Santa Cruz visiting Maxine, and I saw an ad for Dominican Hospital Behavioral Health Unit. At that time, it was the mental health unit. And so I applied, and it was a half-time position. I thought I could do half-time here and half-time there, but that didn't work out. Ross said, lay 'em off. So I moved down here, and that was in 1985. And I've been here since. Actually, I didn't do any theater. I didn't do any acting through high school or college. It was sort of a secret desire, but I was very shy. And so I really didn't do anything until about a year after graduating college. And I had a friend who was going to a theater school in New York called Actors Workshop, and it was run by this man called Paul Mann, who was with the group theater, and also another teacher I had there was Lloyd Richards, who was the original director of Raisin in the Sun and later became dean of the Yale School of Drama. And they really helped me a lot. So I'd start going to auditions and did some off-Broadway. But then it wasn't really until I got to San Francisco that I began working with different theater companies, including the Mission Players, the City Theater. There was Cathedral Civic Theater at Grace Cathedral, where I was in a couple of plays. And then when we moved to Marin, as I said, there was Mill Valley and other places.
Me again. Well, Stuart, as you can tell, had a very prestigious theater history before he got to Santa Cruz. But once he got here, he never stopped. He played everything from Much Ado with Shakespeare Santa Cruz to Dr. Love selling Love Potion No. 9 for Elf Empire. Here are a few of his performances.
Looking to fall in love with an elf. Where does one look? The North Pole? Oh, too cold. No, this elf I met in the theater. I looked over Rita and...
Don't you mean you looked me over?
Not really. I'll never remember, right? I'll never forget our first date. It was love at first sight. Have you ever wondered what it's like to make love to an elf? Neither did I. Well, when we finally got down to it, or should I say, up to it, well, it was amazing. Rita brought out her little stool, which she carries around with her all the time, pulled me over, I reached down, and wow, she gives great nose. I was ecstatic. The next day I called my mother. Hi, Mom. So what's new? Mom, I've met the most wonderful girl, woman, person. I'm in love. But there's one little problem. She's not Jewish. No, Mom. No, she is. But she's an elf. What's an elf?
Now we'll skip a few hours, but first we want a few more facts about our town. Kind of a scientific account, you might say. So I have asked Professor Willard of our state university to sketch in a few details about our past history here. Professor Willard? May I introduce Professor Willard of our state university. Just a few brief notes, thank you, Professor. Unfortunately, our time is limited.
Grover's Corners. Let me see. Grover's Corners lies on the old Pleistocene granite of the Appalachian Range. I may say it's some of the oldest land in the world. We're very proud of that here. Of course, there are some worries and outcrops. Sandstone showing through a shelf of Devonian basalt and some vestiges of Mesozoic shale. But these are comparatively new, perhaps 200 or 300 million years. Some highly interesting fossils have been found. I may say unique fossils, 2 miles north of town in Silas Peckham's cow pasture. Now, these may be seen in the museum at our university at any time. That is, any reasonable time. Shall I read some of Professor Gruber's notes on the meteorological situation, mean precipitation, etc.?
I'm afraid we won't have time for that, Professor, but we might have a few words on the history of man here.
Anthropological data.
Yeah.
Early Amerindian stock, Cotahatchee tribes. No evidence before the 10th century of this era. Now entirely disappeared. Possible traces in 3 families. Migration in the early part of the 17th century of English brachiocephalic blue-eyed stock. Since then, some Slav and Mediterranean for the most part.
And the population, Professor Willard?
Within the town limits, 2,640.
Oh, just a moment, Professor.
Oh, yes, indeed. The population at the moment is now 2,642. The postal district brings in 507 more, making a total of 3,149. Mortality birth rate's constant. By McPherson's gauge, 6.0%.
Thank you very much, Professor, and overall, very much appreciated. This way, Professor. Thank you again.
Perhaps Mr. Macy would like to...
I am perfectly capable of speaking for myself, Miss Schellhammer.
Is there a problem, Mr. Macy?
I will listen with great interest while you tell me who is responsible for our Santa sending customers to the store.
I take complete responsibility, Mr. Macy. I instructed him to push the backlog stock, Mr. Macy, but he refused.
Well, then who told him to send somebody to Bloomingdale's to get something we didn't have?
We don't know, sir.
My office has been flooded with phone calls, faxes, letters, emails, tweets.
I'm really sorry, Mr. Macy, but I have taken care of it.
Oh, messages of grateful appreciation from shoppers. This is the greatest goodwill advertising gimmick in years. It's positively revolutionary. I can see the headline. The store with the real Christmas spirit. Macy's Santa recommends Bloomingdale's. This is a breakthrough advertising initiative, Mrs. Walker. The media will love it, and maybe Macy's will reap a harvest of goodwill and publicity.
I'm so glad you're pleased.
This is the best Santa Claus we have ever had. Oh, and there'll be an extra bonus in both your Christmas stockings this year, ladies.
Will you please state your name for the tribunal?
Carl Vickers.
Did you know the defendant, Ernst Janning?
Yes, I know Ernst Janning.
Will you tell us in what capacity?
We served in the Ministry of Justice together until 1935.
Did you know him before that?
Yes, he was a law student of mine.
Did you know him well?
Yes.
Was he a protege of yours?
Yes.
Dr. Vickert, will you please explain to the tribunal from your own experience the position of the judge in Germany prior to the advent of Adolf Hitler?
The position of the judge was one of complete independence.
And did the system change after the Nazis came to power?
Judges became subject to something outside of objective justice. They became subject to what was necessary for the defense of the country.
Will you explain this, please?
The first consideration of the judge was punishment of acts against the state rather than the protection of the rights of the accused.
What other changes were there?
The right to appeal was eliminated. The Supreme Court of the Reich was abolished. The concept of race was made a legal concept for the first time.
And what was the result of this change?
The result was to hand over the entire judicial system of the country into the hands of the dictator.
Dr. Wickert, I'd like to ask you a question. Did the judiciary protest these laws abridging the independence?
A few did. Those who did resigned, or were forced to resign. Others adapted themselves to the new situation.
And do you think that the judges were aware of the consequences to come?
At first, some did. Then they adapted themselves to the new situation.
Do you think they could see clearly what was happening, what was coming?
At first, perhaps not. Then it became clear to anyone who had eyes and ears.
Thank you.
Dr. Vickert, will you discuss for us the changes that took place in criminal law under the Third Reich?
Special courts were established. These courts imposed the death penalty or heavy sentences, whether the accused was guilty or not, only because they were Jews or Poles or politically unreliable. Also, novel National Socialist measures were introduced. Among these, sexual sterilization of those characterized as asocial. All these were done under the authority of Ernst Janning as Minister of Justice.
Dr. Vickert, did it become necessary for judges to wear any distinctive mark on their robes in 1935?
Yes, the so-called Führer's decree required judges to wear the insignia of the swastika on their robes.
Did you wear such an insignia?
No, I would have been ashamed to wear it.
Did you resign in 1935?
Yes,
Did Ernst Janing wear a swastika on his robe?
yes.
Thank you, Dr. Bickert. That's all.
Was it? What? Oh, let's the phone.
I was so impatient. I was looking for my glasses. We're not doing anything tonight, are we?
No.
Well, then I'll need my glasses to school so I can pull Nancy back.
Oh, why are you calling her back?
She invited us to dinner.
When?
Tonight.
Tonight? This evening? Oh, like 5 hours from now?
Yes. What did you say? That I checked with you?
You didn't say we were free.
I said I checked with you and over back in a few minutes, but now I can't find my glasses.
What are you going to say?
Where did I have them last? They always tell you to retrace your steps. Of course, if you were so good at remembering your steps, you'd remember that. What do we have more of? Red or white?
Red.
I'll tell her we'll bring red.
You're going to accept?
And when I find my glasses, you might want to help me look for them.
We need to talk.
What's to talk about? I can't wear contacts.
The invitation.
Why?
Because we each decide if we want to go.
My mother said we were free.
We are.
Oh, so is it Bill?
Bill's fine.
Nancy? I mean, she does really. I would sometimes worry about kids, but you just talk to Bill.
It's not about Bill or Nancy.
I think it's only them.
It's not about them.
Was there something else you wanted to do tonight? It's not my birthday, it's not your birthday, it isn't our anniversary.
I haven't booked anything.
Here they are.
Look at you. Oh, what?
What? Oh, I know that if you want to go.
I just said.
I know what you just said. I have been married to you all these years without recognizing that tone.
What tone?
You know exactly what I mean. And you're Mr. Sociable. I'm the one who usually wants to stay home.
You'll go. Tell her we'll go.
No,
You said.
I never said I wanted to go. I just assumed you'd want to, and since we didn't have anything else to do, and I'm sick of my diet, it's our turn, is it? Did we have them last, or is this 2 in a row?
No, we had them last.
Oh, we're in the clear.
It's not mandatory. There is a degree of flexibility.
Oh, no, this is a road game.
Let's see.
What? What did you see?
I was going to say something, and then I thought what you'd say, and then I know what I have to say, so I'm not going to say it.
I know what you were going to say.
No, you don't. You know what I did not, in fact, say.
How many letters?
I'm not going. I'm counting.
I know.
13.
UNSPONTANEOUS.
Exactly.
And you retracted, sort of, because
I knew that you didn't say.
they are being spontaneous and we aren't. And it makes them look like, say, the social equivalent to Donnie Depp. And we look like, oh, Meryl Streep in one of those parts where she has an accent.
Fogies. It makes us look like fogies. Like we're too old to take on unscheduled pleasure in case it messes with our medication.
Did you remember to take your pill?
Yes. It's a wild, crazy, you know, just been smoking some crack. Wild, sexy, and when he came to, he decided to have you guys over for dinner. And we called now so as to ensure you were already out the door for meatloaf at the Blue Lake Special.
That's why they call it.
Exactly.
Some sort of act of aggression.
Violence or anything.
You are serious.
Why do you do that?
Well, not for those reasons. My suspicion is cancellation. Someone canceled. Nancy made the dinner. Bill had selected the line. They decided they thought this is too good to freeze. So they probably rooted through the schedule, saw who they owed, and started calling.
So we don't accept.
So just go on to the next.
You think?
Makes sense to me. They probably would even joke about it if we asked them.
What time is it now?
2.
What time did the, assuming you were right, the other couple that's called them? I wonder what time they canceled. Yes.
Well, why do you want to know?
I have a reason.
I guess. Half an hour ago. Probably because of illness. The other couple, the intended, they probably wanted not to cancel, but then either the symptoms didn't get better, or they weren't going to make up a fight, or the ex-wife picked up the hint that there was a particular point, and they canceled.
But then Bill feels secretly relieved. He says to Nancy, who do we know who's hip enough and go with the flow enough that they would mind coming over on short notice? Because that's the kind of sand white silver fox sort of guys they are.
Oh, we are.
Sure we are.
We just spent 10 minutes arguing about whether or not to go. Food. So you want to go?
Why is it that? Just a minute. Supposing you say no, what do you think they'll think the reason is?
They'll think that you couldn't be bothered.
Me? What about you?
Oh, I'm in the clear. I told them I'd ask you.
You asked? What if I answered the phone?
But you didn't.
So what's the message?
They didn't leave a message. They're only offering to pick up.
So we don't go.
Oh, there'll be resentment on their part against you. They'll not be sympathized with me. Poor thing. Married to a man who knows what to live. How did she put up with it? No wonder she drinks. Of course I'm joking. No, let me just cross us off the list and go on to the next couple. Time's a wasted.
They might be disappointed, see it as a missed opportunity.
Yes, or maybe the Obamas are next.
It feels, don't laugh, promiscuous.
Like a one-night stand?
Well, not even a one night, really. They can dump us before we've even done anything. You know, this resentment stuff can work both ways.
I'm turning to more practical considerations.
You mean, what are they serving?
Like if Bill's doing ribs.
With the barbecue sauce?
He always has that with polenta and the only salad you'll eat. The right time of year, he knows you love them. You did leave 11 stripped and sucked bones on your plate last time. Maybe that's what he's made, and that's why Bill thought of us. Well, you anyway.
Yeah, that's assuming he's decided to make ribs. How do we know they hadn't invited vegetarians? We couldn't sort of edge for a preview?
Well, you can only do that after you've accepted.
What do you want to do?
Oh, easy either way. It doesn't bother me that everything's been prepared for someone else.
Why not?
Well, I'm used to it. I'm a woman. Now, I'm going to count to 3, and we have to decide. 1, 2...
Shit, what if it's them?
Make up your mind.
Yes, we'll go. Always say yes to life.
Hello? Bill, we were just... Yes? Oh, of course. Not snowed in, after all. The plane wasn't delayed. A rain check would be good. Yes, he did, didn't he? 11. Oh, I hadn't even mentioned it to him. No, he just popped out. When he gets back, I won't say a word. Soon, yes. Love to Nancy.
I know. Don't say a thing. I'm going to the store and I'm buying ribs and we're having a dinner party with red wine here tonight.
Well, who are we having?
Up to you.
Darling,
What?
isn't it kind of short notice?
Welcome to Comcast Solutions Center. If you would like to continue in English, press 1. Para español, oprima. To speak to a customer service representative, press 1. If you would like to continue, please hold. Welcome to Comcast Solutions. This is Amy. What can I help you with today?
Hello, Amy. How's your day going?
Oh, well, it's going well. Thanks for asking.
I have a friend called Amy. She moved to New York. Where are you from, Amy?
I'm from Pennsylvania. Now, what can I do for you?
Well, I've been watching the static on my TV all day, and I can't figure out how to fix it.
Have you tried checking all the wires? It sounds like your cable may have just come loose.
Let me see. Oh, there it goes. It was as simple as that. Thank you, Amy.
No problem, sir.
You can call me Abner. If you don't mind, you said you were from Pennsylvania, but your accent is from Boston, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm sorry, sir, but unless you having much up with your TV, I have other customers waiting. We're fielding a lot of calls right now.
Oh, well. Thank you for your help.
You're welcome, sir. Have a good day.
Hello, what can I get for you this morning, sir?
How many times do I have to ask you to call me Abner? I'll have my usual.
Okay, and remind me what that is again?
A small Earl Grey.
Hi, Mr. Rupert.
You can call me Abner.
I was calling about that appointment I had this afternoon with Mr. Brooks.
Hiya. I'm sorry that she got away from me. Kaya, sit.
That's all right. She's sweet.
I've seen you walking in the park before. I'm Emily Bennett.
Abner Schultz.
Well, Mr. Schultz, it's a pleasure to meet you finally.
Call me Abner.
Abner it is. Well, that was Stuart. I want to thank everybody for being here today. And I want to give special thanks to Mountain Community Theater for its generous support. And to my dear friends and family who made this day happen. Please keep Stuart alive in your memories. There are a few people that have asked to say a few words, and then we're going to have an open mic. But I do again want to ask that we keep our thoughts short. Short's good. And if you had something longer you want to say, there is the memory wall there where you can write notes, which would be very much appreciated. And one other thing, if you get a chance, on the wall over there is a quilt made by Michelle Gelblum from Stuart's t-shirts. Oh. And it's really fabulous. So when the lights go up again, check that out. But Fran, who was a colleague of Stuart's at Dominican for many years, would like to say a few words.
Stuart and I were colleagues and friends for the last 35 years. And these lights are making most. A word that's, I've just been missing him a lot lately. Sorry. Can you hear it? Try that again. Stuart and I have been friends for about 35 years and started out as colleagues, and after we retired, the friendship got even more so. We had lots of lunches together. One word of all of his experiences and all the talents he had, there's one word that's a Danish word for cozy, called, and I may pronounce it wrong, hygge. And he reminds me of that. So I'm not focused on his activities or his talents as much as what a wonderful friend he was. He would share about his life, and some of the things that he shared about, like the teas that Rita and they had an assortment of teas. That has stayed with me more than his sharing of the trips that he took. It was just something so personal about that. He also had a very good friend named Eric Hall, who was my very good friend. Word has it that I might have been his best lady friend and Eric his best guy friend in Santa Cruz. It may not be true, but I believe it. Eric and Stuart took long walks together almost every week. And Eric passed away in 2011. I'm really missing those two guys. So in my mind's eye, when I think of Stuart, I think of him having tea with Rita and having the walks, he and Eric taking walks. I just love him very much. Thank you.
too. Can you guys see me still? Thanks for it. There are a few other people that had said in advance they would like to say something. Linda, are you here?
I am.
I knew you were. And then
It's nice, all these lights, I can't see a soul. When first introduced to Stuart, so dapper and distinguished, with silver hair and deep brown eyes, I thought that he was British. But underneath that genteel charm and sophisticated style, he also had a clever wit, revealed in a mischievous smile. An actor of great talent, he mastered many roles. With Stuart and Rita on the stage, you could see their kindred souls. Stuart was truly a gentleman, husband, father, brother, friend. He loved his family and adored his wife, and maintained his dignity to the end.
that's why I don't wear heels. Nat? Here I am. Did you want? Okay.
I've been on stage in a long time. Rita told me to keep it short, so I'm long-winded, so I'll try. How I fell in love with Stuart. Don't mind Ricardo, I still love you. Hi, everybody. It started with when Rita was dating Stuart, and I didn't really know him. Then as the years went by, I still didn't really know him, but he was there. Then one day, Rita and I were talking, and we were talking about, things like women like to talk about, like getting married. And I said to Rita, if you get married, I'll make you a shower. Yes, that happened. Jan Herman and I gave Rita a shower, but you know what they did? They went and got married before they were supposed to.
So I wasn't pregnant.
No, she really wasn't. But anyway, about a year or so later, Jan and I made her a wedding celebration, and that was fun. We had a great time over at the park in Ben Lomond. Not this park, the other park. And I really didn't know Stuart, still didn't know him. And as the years went by, days, weeks, months, years, little by little, I got to know Stuart. And then, I used to call Rita up a lot, but she was hardly ever home because she was always doing something, working, teaching, being in plays. So I got to talk to Stuart a lot on the phone. And that was neat. And that's when I started to fall in love with Stuart on our phone conversations. And I don't need this. I know that Stuart is now on his nice long rest. But if he happened to land up in a different dimension, I'm sure there's a theater there. There's got to be some theaters there. And I'm sure Stuart's doing plays. And I want him to put a good word in for me for some gigs. And I probably won't need my memory then because that's gone. But in that dimension, I won't need it. I love you, Stuart, and I always will. Thank you.
That was probably the shortest speech that Manch's ever done. Sam.
So, Stuart, I've always said that my favorite people in the world are theater people, so it's so lovely to see so many theater friends here today. It's a great honor to be here myself and to see so many of you out here that have come to honor Stuart. Stuart, my most favorite memory of working with Stuart, I'll just share briefly. Theater sometimes is magical, sometimes it's not so magical, it just depends on, a number of things. But I was really blessed the first play I directed was 6 Degrees of Separation back in '95, and Stuart was part of that cast, and he's one of the main reasons why that show to me was one of the truly magical moments in my theater career. So it's just a memory of Stuart that I will always cherish. God bless you, Stuart, wherever you are. I hope Badges is where you're doing theater now because you belong to the theater. And as I said, to me, we've lost a really great talent in the theater community, but we've all lost a good friend, or a cousin, or a brother, or whatever he was to me here. So that's all I wanted to say. And God bless Stuart. Thank you.
Donna, are you there? You wanted to say something? Okay. Quick is good. Not just you, everybody. When we get to open mic, quick is good.
Well, hi there. My name's Donna, and I first met Stuart and Rita in 2005. My husband and I were from Felton, and we were fighting Callan for our water. And a lady named Phyllis Macy wrote a play called Corporate Water, and her name is on the plaque there. And I got cast as Angry Citizen number 2. And I think Rita was someone as a water district or something. I was a hero. And anyway, we only got to do it once. We did it in the field next to the Felton Library. And Stuart was the director. And my husband John's pretty vocal and everything, and we'd be rehearsing, and John helps build the scenery and things. And he'd say something during the rehearsal, and Stuart would go, "John, who's the director here?" And that only happened like 2 or 3 times, and he'd do it the same way, and then I think John finally got the hint then. And he was a very cool director, and ever since then, I've known these guys, so, and I love it.
Hi, my name is Lyle Troxel, and I grew up here in this, I call it the family church, but the theater. And, in your traditional family, your grandparents and stuff, you get together a few times a year and you see everybody, right? You do your Thanksgiving, Christmas, or some other winter holiday. And in the theater, it's similar to that as well, but they're performance-based, they're opening nights. And sometimes you're in the show and you're insane, and it's really busy and crazy, and you're doing 1,000 things. But after the show, you come out and you see your theater family. Many evenings of theater family events like that, Rita would say goodnight. And the trick was to... Yeah, she would say goodnight, she's leaving. And the trick at that point was to go find Stuart and have a good 20-minute conversation before they actually left. And very patient, ready to go, but always charming and wonderful and very much family. And so I I feel like Stuart was ready to go a little too soon, didn't he? So we're gonna miss him. We're really to miss him. Anyway, this family that we produced, that Rita's helped produce, is really wonderful. So thank you all for being here. Thanks, Rita.
Okay, is there anyone who would like to, could we, I can get to the house lights in a bit now. Why go? You're old. I know her.
So, hello to many of you out here who knew me back when I was a child. I'm Sharon, Rita's daughter, not a child anymore. And I, like Lyle, grew up in this Park Hall Theater with a very large extended family. And those of you who knew us back then, remember that we kind of needed that extended family. Those were days where we were looking, right? We were searching for a little stability, maybe. We were looking for people who loved us, and you all were those people. And it's first and foremost really amazing to be back here today, so many years later, and see you're all still here. Right? There are people that on behalf of my mother, I mean. But also, just to also think about in the time since then, what has transpired in terms of my mom finding real family, finding love, finding companionship, finding stability. And through all of that, maybe things calmed down a tad, but she stayed so true to who she is, and that's why we're all here today. And Stuart enabled that to happen. And I'm just so thankful for his presence in my mom's life and my life. I love to see how much he meant to all of you. And thank you all for being here and helping make this day so special.
Your point,
I'm Jim Kronberg, Janet Serman's husband and brother-in-law, Stuart. I miss him greatly. I still think he's around, frankly. I see him almost every day, and I feel him presence almost every day. I'll just mention one quick thing, which is he taught me years ago something very valuable, which is the man hug. Up to then, I'd never hugged a guy in my life. And he knew how to do it, and he taught me that, and ever since I've been doing it all over the place. It's such a beautiful, warm thing, not just the hug woman, but the hug man as well. It's just fantastic. And unfortunately, I can't do either today because I happen to have a bad cold, so I apologize. Anyway, we miss Stuart very much. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Sarah Albertson, and I'm not really a part of the Mountain Community Theater community, although I am by a certain step. My husband's directing one of the plays, and so I feel more and more like maybe I am. Yeah. But I just wanted to say a few words. I first met Stuart and Rita when they joined about 20 of us in the Artist in Residence workshop that Bill, my husband, and I led at Actors Theater. The years of AIRS were a splendid collaborative time for us all, and Stuart was an important part of it. Another very memorable artistic collaboration was when we worked on Judgment at Nuremberg together. Stuart was in the production and I directed it. This was a few years ago. And he did a really moving performance of Dr. Wickett in our production. And I was so glad that he agreed to take on that part, and he brought such a quiet strength to the role. And to quote Joanne Englehart in her Sentinel review, wearing a saucy bow tie and walking with a cane, Stuart Serman, as the witness Dr. Wickett, seems always perfectly in character. It's hard to think that he isn't right at Rita's side, creating fun and exciting theater. but I know he is near her and with us all in spirit.
Anyway, there is food waiting. I do want to point that out, and wine, and whatever else. So, that doesn't mean you shouldn't come and talk if you'd like to. But on the other hand, if you want to eat. I see a hand up. Big gal.
So I'd be remiss not to point this out about Stuart. We got here about 14 years ago, and The Uninvited NCT was my first production here, and I wanted to know some people, and theater was the best way to go about it. But the other thing I am, some of you know me, is that I love sports, especially basketball. I love, love, love basketball. And it's incredibly difficult when you're in the theater community to find somebody who might like sports. It's good when you find that connection. So
you like the Lakers, though.
Yeah. Let me get to that. So in 2006, I was in the Alpha Empire, and I remember Stuart, we were able to get out early, and Stuart's great. I could go home and see the Warriors play. And I thought to myself, they're really bad. Like, I was thinking, they're not a good team, but you still want to go see the Warriors play. And so I'm like, oh, you like basketball? That's great. So I usually think he's just a casual fan. And then he started talking. He says, I hate the way Adama Foyle plays defense. Monte Ellis is a ball hog. Corey Maggetti's a ball hog. Don Nelson is a good coach. So I thought, oh, this cat knows basketball. So it was great having him backstage because we were able to talk hoops. And it was nice to have that connection with Stuart. So now it's people are talking basketball all over the place now for obvious reasons. So I just wanted to say that when the Golden State Warriors finally won their first title, the first person I thought of and felt happy for was Stuart, because he was a fan when they were awful for many, many, many years. And he was a hardcore fan, and he knew that team really, really well. I just wanted to point that out because I know if I had Memorial, you know, the sports part is such a big part of it. So, yeah, so anyways, I just wanted to mention that, and we miss Stuart very much.
On that subject, I should mention that Stuart died during the finals this year. He died on Monday morning. On Friday night, we were watching the game spiritedly together. He watched all the way. He read the paper every day. He watched the news hour, almost up to the day he died. And the Warriors was our big deal, no question. Anybody else? Thank you, everybody, for coming here.
Hey, my sweet elf. I've had so much fun with you and Stuart, and I will always be your Bowser, and I will always think fondly of Stuart, and I hope that we get to do a bunch more things together, because you are just a kick in the pants to work with and to be around. and I thank you for all that you have done for me and for this community, this family that we have. So, love you, and I'll see you soon. Bye.